Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey,
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Tennis Podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie with an IE.
I'm Sweetie with a Y.
Hey guys, I'm just so proud of ourselves. I know we keep saying this, but like we are doing it every week now.
Keep it up.
I know. And this is like a tough week for us. We are getting ready for the arrival of our elder sister, Liz, who I think we've talked about, lives in Ireland. We haven't seen her in 3 years because of the pandemic. And her two kids, she has 5-year-old Ava and 2-year-old Tiernan, who we have never even met.
That is spooky.
So we have big family stuff going on. But today I did a little texty text to Sweetie and I said, can we fit in a quick podcast tonight?
Is that how you
And
were saying that question? Because that's not how I said it in my head.
I hope that's what my voice sounds to you, like in your head when you read my text.
No, it just sounds like you.
Okay. Oh, that's a sweet. Okay, so my pick this week, and twofold. So number one, sequel September. So we've rolled this out a couple different seasons. September rolls around, and we like to throw out a couple sequels because you know what 80s, 90s movies was all about, or really any movies are all about? The sequels. So wanted to do at least one sequel. Number two, I don't know if any of you all are fans of the show Cobra Kai. Sweetie is not.
I'm familiar. Well, I've watched it. I just stopped watching it like 2 seasons ago.
Not a fan.
I liked it.
I mean,
just, like,
very.
it was just like after a while, it was just like, okay, too cheesy for me. Like I don't know. It was just like, why are these kids always like fighting? And I don't know.
Super cheesy. Lots of fighting kids. Same plot basically every season. Here's what it is. The bad guy turns into the good guy. Spoiler alert. That's literally every season. So the new season just got released like early September. So Sweetie, Jimmy, and I have been watching it. I'm really into it. They took the first episode into like a cool new direction. They went to Mexico. Loved it and really, really into it. However, the Cobra Kai series brings back people from the Karate Kid series. So obviously not Mr. Miyagi, R.I.P. He died. But pretty much everybody else who's still alive, who's been in the Karate Kid series, they've been able to bring back, which is kind of cool. Continuing this story and checking in with these characters who were in the movies, right? So the last season and then this one brought back the characters from the Karate Kid Dose, so we decided to cover
The Karate Kid Part 2.
Part 2? Yeah, they call it Part 2. So Karate Kid Part 2, obviously, huge fans of Karate Kid. We watched it a couple years ago, I think, second year of the podcast, I think. And
I feel like we
remember
watched
that
that
fondly.
early. That was the first time that
Was it
we
first
had the 2 microphones working, I think. So it was like a big...
Okay. I remember we were in Carol's basement. Yep. We had a great chat. It was Thanksgiving, and we were home, and we had a great chat about golf and stuff. Yeah. Talked about going on that field trip. It was a good podcast, really, really fun to do, and it was one of our better ones. They're all good, but like one of the better ones. Anyway, so then comes along Karate Kid Part 2. So 1984 was Karate Kid. 1986 comes Karate Kid Part 2. Now, I guess the director, creator, whatever of this series decided that Karate Kid, obviously one, original story, Danielson coming to California, meeting Mr. Miyagi, blah, blah, blah. Karate Kid 2 was going to be going more into Mr. Miyagi's life, Mr. Miyagi's background. And then Karate Kid 3 was going to be the revenge of the Kreese guy. So the evil guy from the dojo from the original one, Cobra Kai guy, right? So The second one goes more into Japan, and they're in Japan for almost all of it, and Miyagi's backstory. So anyway, so Cobra Kai, the series, the current series, brings back the kind of Okinawa Japanese characters. So the main one being Chozen, who is this evil guy from the this Karate Kid 2 movie, and he has this like great turn of character in the second one, like or in Cobra Kai. Now Danielson like goes to Okinawa and visits, and he thinks he's going to be like all
Don't
evil,
spoil
but he's really
it.
like turned a new leaf. I know. Spoiler alert. I said in my Instagram story. Spoiler alert. Chozen is cool. So yeah. So we decided to do. So I said, you know, let's do Karate Kid Part 2. Also, I was watching Jeopardy the other day, and new season of Jeopardy. If anyone's a fan, obviously I am. I was on Jeopardy, and Danielson. It was a category like Ralph Macchio giving questions. So
Cool. Love it.
it was just, this was set in the stars.
Perfect.
Like, needed to do this. So anyway, Karate Kid Part 2 from 1986. Apparently, this movie started filming 10 days after the release of Karate Kid 1. Wow.
Interesting.
Give those people a
What is
break.
this,
I mean-
Lord of the Rings trilogy? God.
I know. That's what I
I
thought,
wondered that
too.
because
I was like,
Danielson
easy.
did not look so old. Like, he didn't look that much older.
yeah.
So I was
No.
impressed. I was like, well, I mean, Ralph Macchio's
Yeah.
always been like a baby face, I guess. So that makes sense. But
He seemed taller, though.
sure. I mean, boys
Like,
are
at
sprouting.
one point he was-
How old was he when he made this?
Ben. Well, he's supposed to be, he had graduated high school, which I did not remember from the first one. I thought he was like a sophomore, but apparently he had like graduated high school. So
Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
18,
No,
theoretically.
but how old
maybe
was
17?
Ralph Macchio when he filmed it?
Oh, no. Remember we looked that up. He was like 20
Oh,
something.
okay. I mean, yeah, he just
And
like
we're
looks little.
One of
like,
those.
I don't know.
Yeah, he is little. I mean, he's so skinny, and you know, he's basically like a giraffe on like new legs. Every time you see
beanpole.
him, you're like, can you stand up on those? Yeah. So continues with. So this movie is interesting because when I saw this on TV like the beginning part a couple weeks ago, and I was very confused because it had showed the beginning of this movie shows all of these scenes from the first one, essentially a recap of the entire movie in like scenes
Never seen that.
like put into the first one. I haven't either. And like I mean with TV shows you might see that like at the beginning of an episode, or maybe like
Yeah,
actually
but they
Cobra
weren't-
Kai did
Well, they'd
this,
be like last time on whatever, but this was just like
Right.
they were just like putting it throughout like the opening credits.
yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, it was really strange. So they give you a little like and this one leaves off exactly where the last one left off, which is kind of
Oh my God, I
interesting
love
too. I mean, I always say about the first one that it ends very
Right.
abruptly, and you're like,
Whoa,
holy shit!
whoa,
Like it's just Mr. Miyagi being like, yeah, you did good,
Right.
remember? And then that's it. And this like leads literally the next beat. It's like him taking a shower. So like what happened? So that I always think is like interesting. So yeah, leads off right where the second or first one stops. So who's in this? So returning characters: Ralph Macchio, Avi Danielson, Pat Noriyuki Morita. Was reminded when I watched the Jeopardy episode that he was nominated for an Oscar for his role.
oh
I mean,
yeah,
pretty
Oh, yeah,
amazing.
we read that last
I
time.
know. I love it. And I think he did even more hard acting in this sequel, I will say. There's a lot of
Tears,
Miyagi
lot of
crying
tears.
scenes. Yeah. Yep. And then just in the beginning sort of scene when they're still sort of at the karate tournament, you have Billy Zabka returning and Martin Kove returning as evil Johnny Lawrence, though.
No,
we
he's
all know
fine
Johnny
now,
Lawrence
yeah.
has turned a new leaf. Yep. Just like the Cobra Kai, strategy. Bad guy turns good guy. And then Kreese, still not a good guy. We'll go with it.
Spoiler again.
Good scene at the
God.
beginning there. I know. Well, in the third one, he's like continuing his like revenge plot. And then you have the people, the Japanese, the people who play the characters in Okinawa. So you have Yugi Akumoto is the actor who plays Chozen. Oof.
Johnny Tsunami's dad. I was like, when I saw your
No
story, I was
way.
like, where do I know this man from? And it was bothering me so bad. And then finally I went on IMDb and was like, oh yeah, Johnny Tsunami's
Yeah, he's done a lot of
dad.
stuff.
Yeah.
I've only known him from here, but like, yeah, he's done like a ton of stuff if you look at his acting credits. Sato is played by Danny Kamakona. Kumiko is played by Tamlin Tomita, who I'm more familiar with her as Waverly from the Joy Luck Club.
That's what I was going to say.
Sorry.
I was just making sure my headphones were in. I was like, wait, because you just talk so loudly that I was like, is this coming from my phone or my headphones? Okay. I was looking for what I knew her from too, because I was like, clearly I know her from something, and I could not find it. Maybe I didn't scroll down enough to get to the Joy Luck Club, but like, yeah, crazy.
I mean, that movie's from like early 90s, so you had to... she has a ton of acting credits too. And I was watching Murder, She Wrote recently, and she was on that.
Everyone. Well, those...
all
all those,
she was like a detective.
All those like serial episodes, like everyone was in at least one episode of at some point.
So I know this was her first movie. Remind me, though, I was racking my brain thinking, I think you know Joy Luck Club a little bit better than I do. What was her plot? So she lives with the guy, Richard...
No, she lives with the guy. No. It's not Richard. It's like some other like bumbly like white guy who's rich or whatever. Like gives her a fur coat. She has a little daughter. So I think the daughter I think she got divorced.
Situation.
She doesn't think her mom is proud of her or whatever because she doesn't like Richard or whatever.
Right.
Okay. Her mom's like, you think it's Richard? I know, like I forget what her mom's problem actually is. But remember, her mom like forced her into chess, and she was like this chess prodigy was like her main art. Right. So like always trying to be like perfect. For her mom.
I know. I was trying to remember all the like situations of all the characters, and I was like, which one was Waverly? And I thought at first it was the one who's like does the halvesies with the husband, and she's all like
Waverly's
everything's
the
split.
Bitchy one.
Yeah. Right.
She takes the good crab.
She
takes the good crab, and June takes the bad crab. So June's the better one.
Right. I know. Such a good movie. Okay. And then surprise, I don't know if you noticed this, BD Wong appears as Boy on the Street.
What? Why did he have a line? Why would I notice that?
Yeah. He comes up to Kumiko and he's like, oh, are you like coming to the dance later or something like that? Like you should come when they're like in the city right before the ice breaking scene.
Got it.
Yeah. BD Wong.
Let's go back and watch that. Hilarious.
Yeah, totally. Directed by John Alvidson, who did all the Karate Kid. So first, second, third. Not sure about the new one, new Karate Kid. And he directed Rocky. Whoa.
Oh, your favorite.
Didn't know that. I know. And then Lean on Me, your favorite.
Lean on Me. Is it? I don't think I've ever seen Lean on Me. Is that the Morgan Freeman one?
Haven't?
Well, I used to mix it up with Stand By Me because I was like, I can't keep track of these songs these movies named after songs, it just gets to be.
We got to do that movie. I was really touched by that movie. Morgan Freeman is a principal, comes to like a troubled school, like in the projects. Yeah, so good. Can't wait to get into it.
Sounds good.
It's time for the Sweetie Synopsis.
Sweeties.
Oh, I was going to write down a Miyagi proverb.
Like 5 podcasts in a row, you've been like, I forgot the thing.
So
you gotta step it up. Step it up.
Yeah. Oh, I kind of remember it. I'm gonna paraphrase it. It's like passion before principle. You like always lose no matter what.
Cool. Okay. Sure.
Cool.
Sure.
Or is it principle before passion?
No, I don't know. You're the one that concocted this.
I didn't. It's a Miyagi.
Hey, you guys, do you forget what happened in the Karate Kid Part 1? Don't worry, because the beginning credits will tell you everything you need to know if you missed that wonderful movie. So Danielson,
it's like nobody did. Nobody doesn't remember.
I mean, but you don't need to go like scene by scene. Like you could also like maybe tie it up with like just play like the last minute again, so we're reminded of like how great that last crane kick was or whatever. But anyways, I did want to know if Daniel showered immediately after or not. So I'm glad that question's been answered. But so they go out to the parking lot.
Do you think it's weird to like kick everybody's ass and then shower at the same, like in the same place.
Yeah.
Just like cash.
Yeah. I guess he was kind of like sweaty and bloody or whatever. So like, I guess it makes sense. But I really liked seeing people like congratulate Daniel and like be like, you did so great. Cause like, yeah, he did. And like, we didn't really get to like live any of the like celebration part of that. So that was kind of like a cute little scene. Like, oh, there's the referee. Like, hey, it's like big and like big and like, hey, that guy from the meeting. Hey, you know, like I was like, oh my God, great. Ugly, weird Mark Hamill guy is still around. So they are getting ready to leave and they overhear Kreese being an asshole to poor Johnny, being like, you may as well like jump into a creek. You're like, your life is over. And Johnny's like, hey man, that's not fair. I got second place. And it's like, yeah, Johnny, you're right. Like you did great. Well done. Good job. Also, where are Johnny's parents again? They talk about that in Cobra Kai, right? Like or not?
Well, okay. Well, it's interesting in Cobra Kai because his parent situation. Remember, he's like part of the country club scene that Allie is
right,
in,
but he was actually
right?
poor and like didn't. Yeah,
yeah. So his mom was a single mom, and she married like this older dude, and that's why he grew up with money. That's how they.
Oh, I thought he was poor. Like throughout high school, but like where was his mom not at this karate tournament? Like I'm just confused like why Kreese is now Johnny's dad. Like it's weird. Anyways, so he's being a real bully, and you know what Mr. Miyagi hates more than anything in this world is a damn bully, especially a bully to somebody who picks on someone like smaller, which is usually what bullies tend to do. So Miyagi goes over there and is like, hey, you leave boy alone. And Kreese is like, why did you make me? And it's like, this is so, I mean, okay. So, like, preface this by saying the Karate Kid, maybe all of the Karate Kids are like this. There's a situation. Mr. Miyagi tells someone to back off. They don't. He has to fight, even though he's his least favorite thing. He kicks some butt, and then everything's fine. So, in this case, the traumatic scene with the car window. So Kreese gets ready to like really sock his lights out, and at the last second Miyagi like moves to the side, and so Kreese drives his fist through the car. Whose cars are those? I don't know. I feel sorry for those owners. They had a great time at this karate tournament. Okay, what if it's the sweet referee's car? Like what if he's enjoying this great match. He comes out. He's like, wow, that Daniel is really inspiring. And he comes out and he finds not only smashed windows but like bloody glass in his car. Yeah. I would be upset. So I don't remember ever watching this movie. I do, however, remember this scene vividly, and I wonder, looking back, if I, popped my head in, ooh, what's Big Sister Sweetie watching, and I see this guy punching glass and having bloody knuckles. I was probably like, ooh, no thanks, and then like back the fuck out of there.
Oh yeah, super memorable scene. Apparently that blood was real. What? I find that hard to believe. Like it was a mistake during filming and they just left it in the shot. That was a mistake twice. I'm pretty sure like maybe one of them
and then maybe they decided to have the blood. It was so effective they did on the other one. I don't know.
I mean that you would just keep shooting when your hand got like all cut up and not be like
he seems like I mean Kreese seems like he could be a method actor, so it's possible.
He's a hard ass. He's a hard ass.
But anyways, Kreese, gets beat down by Mr. Miyagi, and then Mr. Miyagi does his signature like, and now time to put your lights out, and then does something silly, and in this case like honks his nose. Pretty funny, classic Miyagi move. Love it.
Classic Miyagi.
Yep. So that's that. And now we go to 6 months later. Daniel's life has kind of taken a turn, you might say, from his high as a winner of this random karate tournament in California.
It's not random. It's the All Valley.
Excuse me. So his mom got like some temporary job. Wasn't she a waitress at the Chinese food restaurant? Like, what is this temporary job?
Remember she was like doing some like computer job or something. That was like what she moved out for. And at the first when we did the original Karate Kid episode, we were like, whoa, like 1984 computer job, woman in a computer job, like pretty cool. But remember, like something fell through with it or something, I forget. And then she was the hostess in the Chinese food restaurant.
All right. Okay. So she's always, finding a good job is on her schedule. So they'd have to move to Fresno, which Daniel's not too pleased with. In addition to that, Allie, our favorite girlfriend from the first one, has smashed up his car, and that she got a new boyfriend or something. I guess their love is over. Sad. Did they make it? The answer is no.
Is no.
So
apparently Elizabeth Shue was at Harvard.
Oh.
Going to school, and that's why she couldn't participate in this
Elizabeth.
sequel, so they wrote her out of it, which is fine. She gets her say in Cobra Kai, I just want to say. Watch it. You'll find out the real story of the football player boyfriend.
Love it. Oh, yeah. I think I did. I think I was watching that season when she came on, so I might know. But, yeah, so he's kind of bummed, and then Mr. Miyagi has him do, typical house karate lessons disguised as housework, but really is, housework disguised as karate lessons. Where he's Mr. Miyagi's brand of karate is how to dupe a kid into doing your household chores. Right.
Let's be honest.
You could say it's the other way, but I think it's that way. I think he's just really needs to get this shit done, and is two birds with one stone.
Because what's the new skill he learns from what some
hammering
job
a
this
nail
time?
in the thing, patience or something, meditation. I don't know.
Yes, it was meditation.
Yeah. So. Finds out that he's actually building himself a little apartment, and Miyagi said he can live there so he doesn't have to go to Fresno. What a great guy. Mr. Miyagi, the best.
Yeah.
I think it's storming Norman outside. I just heard a loud rain sound, so hope we don't lose power. Anyways, it's not a typhoon, so don't worry. But before they can get settled into this fun Daniel and Miyagi summer, which I would like to see that movie at some point. I think that
maybe
could
they
have
go
been
to golf and stuff.
Yeah, that could have been a fun romp. But instead, Mr. Miyagi gets a letter from Okinawa, which is his village in Japan. Not his village, where he comes from in Japan. He's from this teeny tiny fishing village called Tomi. Mm-hmm. Tomi, was that how you pronounce it? And it's a letter from his old girlfriend basically telling him that his dad's dying. If you were shocked that Mr. Miyagi's dad is still alive, I got news for you. I was too. And so was Danielson. And he was like, wow, I really had no idea your father was still alive. And yeah, Daniel, you're fucking right. Because what? But, and then thinking about it, and I was like, well, how old is Mr. Miyagi really?
60s, I think.
Right. So it's totally possible his father could still be alive.
But Mr. Miyagi, as a kid watching this, you do see him as very old. He looks like a grandfather.
And that's
so for
what they're
have
doing.
A grandfather to have a father is super.
But they're really
confusing.
playing that up. That he's this old, and he's spry, like Yoda. He just throws his cane to the side, and all of a sudden can do crazy shit, kind of perception twist.
So let's review what we know about Mr. Miyagi from the first one, right? So he left Okinawa before the World War and ended up fighting on behalf of the Americans. He lived here and fought on behalf of the Americans in World War II and got the Medal of Honor. And remember, Danielson makes a nice little box for this stuff. He also had a wife here, and she was pregnant with their baby when he went off to war, and when he had come back, he found that she had died in childbirth and the baby had as well. So remember that he has a scene in the first one where he gets very drunk one night and he's reading old letters and stuff, and Danielson learns all this about him. So all you know basically is that he left Okinawa as a really young kid. You don't know why, and had moved to the United States.
So now we get the story. So the story is that Mr. Miyagi fell in love with this girl named Yuki in his village, but she was promised to his best friend Sato, who was also into karate, and Miyagi's father taught both Sato and Miyagi karate at the same time. And so it was a huge dishonor to go against that pairing and fall in love by themselves. So Mr. Miyagi or Sato challenges Mr. Miyagi to like a duel to the death. Well, like they're like 16 years old. Like, let's calm down. But basically, Mr. Miyagi's like, I'm out of here, guys. And so he just like pieces out to America, and then so begins the rest of the life as we know it. His life as we know it.
And this is 40 years later. He gets this letter. I guess had not kept in touch with anybody from
I think
Okinawa.
I mean, the way he says it is that like he like shamed his whole family and like self by having this, by being in love with this girl. So he honor's very important to his village, and he says a big thing about it. But like the whole point, like throughout this whole movie, I just kept being like, is it such a big deal? Like, and like I was very much on Danielson's side, where I was like, can we just leave? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So
I mean, but this is sort of difference between like American culture and Japanese culture, right? Because I think that is such a big deal for them, and we just don't really have anything like that here. It's just not how it is. But it's very much the tradition there. So he hadn't checked back in with anybody. I mean, this is, there was no internet. There was no email. Like, how did you had to send letters. I love when like the postman delivers a letter from Okinawa, and he's like, my wife like loves this kind of stuff. Can I bring her by?
Oh my God. And he's like not paying attention to him. I was like, oh my God, tell him something. It's so sweet.
It was so
but he's
funny.
like, is there a
okay.
Mr. Miyagi? He like says the name wrong at first, like a Miyagi or something. And it's like, dude, get it right or pay the price.
Come on. It's phonetic. So anyway, so 40 years have gone by. So Mr. Miyagi doesn't know what's been going on in Okinawa. He thinks the old girlfriend married the best friend, right?
Yeah, he assumes. So anyway, but Mr. Miyagi has to go to Japan now. So Danielson wants to come. Get some money out of his savings account. First of all, Mr. Miyagi is able to get a passport in one day, and he clarifies. Daniel's like, how do you do that? And Mr. Miyagi's like, oh, I have a plane ticket for tomorrow. I mean, obviously today that's like not how it works. But that's funny that maybe you could do that in the 80s. I don't know. Maybe we can ask Carol. Maybe she knows. And then Daniel shows up. He got some money out of his savings account and is like, my mom said I can go to Japan. Like, his mom is just like, happy to get rid of him as much as she can. She's like, yeah, move in with Mr. Miyagi. Oh, yeah, go to Japan. That's fine.
I thought that was so sweet, though. He was like, you mean more to me than college. Like, basically, he was like, Mr. Miyagi, like, you're my everything. And I was like,
really sweet.
Oh. He's just the sweetest, that Danielson.
Sweet. I mean, did we put Danielson in the Sweetie Club or just Mr. Miyagi? I guess just Mr. Miyagi.
No.
So we
now
got to
after
put
Karate
both.
Kid 2, I think they both belong on those pedestals.
Yeah. So sweet. So they go to Japan, and things are a little different when they get there. The village has been relocated to like a different location because the Air Force base that was right next to it is like expanded. So that's a bummer. Sato's like really running things over there and is like trying to make shady deals with the land or whatever. And he's like these goons who are scamming people, and like it's a bad sitch. So they get picked up by these people as soon as they arrive. So Chozen is the villain in this.
He's the nephew
of Sato. They go to Sato. He's like, yeah, I'm still pissed at you. Like, I'm going to kill you, blah, blah, blah. He meets up with Yuki and his father. He goes to his father's place. Yuki's taking care of him. It wasn't really clear to me, like, why. If, like, she just had, like, a quick fling with Mr. Miyagi and then has been, like, taking care of the father her whole life. Like, super bummer.
I know.
But she has somehow got pregnant and had a child. So Kumiko is her daughter. Very sweet. And bad news, the dad dies. So he's old, he's going. He asks Mr. Miyagi and Sato to make amends on his deathbed. He's like, you guys got to make up, I'm dying, peace out, the rest is up to you.
He like literally joined their hands here, and then he was like,
did. And Sato's like, I'll give you 3 days to mourn your father, and then I'm coming to kill you. And you're like, okay. Again, like, can we chill the fuck out? Like, get over it.
Like,
Yuki's been in this village this whole time. Like, I don't know, maybe if you weren't a terrible person, she would like you better.
Yeah. She doesn't want your sad ass. I mean, he's pretty scary. I always remember this when I was like little, like the way that guy talks. He's like, I am Sato. Like, I am going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of scary.
He's just, like, wants to kill people.
And he's this like big guy. He's basically like a Japanese mobster. Chozen, the nephew there, like dresses like a Guido with like these unbuttoned shiny shirts and all these chains and everything.
Yeah.
And like just some weird like alternate, because all the people in this village, they live in this what looks to be like, very different from what we know in the US. They live really simple lives, like almost like peasants on this, like doing this farming and fishing and stuff. And it's just really simple. And then you have these kind of goons who are like the rich people who, have all this money and do end up controlling like a lot of the lives of these people. So, yeah, bad guys.
Bad situation over there. So Danielson starts getting closer to Kumiko, obviously smitten kitten. They go on this fun date, and she takes him to this like sock hop bar, and she's like, "Isn't this amazing, Daniel?" And Daniel's like, "Yeah, it's okay. I mean,
okay.
it's not golf and stuff, but like it's fine." Like he seems very like underwhelmed by it, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
He learns a new technique called the drum technique, which is like that drum that you like, turn side to side, and the balls like hit either side of the drum. So it's also, I guess, similar to a dance that Kumiko that they do called Uban or something. I forget. But so that's kind of like the new theme. So like first movie, the crane kick was like the move. This one's like the drum technique. So remember that. And
they go about like testing it. They're on the fishing pier. There's this like scary, I don't even know what those are, like hooks or something that bring up the nets that are like, really sharp. And Mr. Miyagi just like lets them go, and like Danielson's supposed to like move his body like the drum and avoid the scary flying hook thing. And he cuts his shirt one time, and he falls into the water another. And
it was supposed to be over. Like Miyagi put like a wooden thing on it to protect him, and then Daniel did it for real, like right after. He's a kind of a hothead, Daniel, sometimes, but I guess he's still sweet. But so I mean, you find out a couple things. Sato's like sold the land off. He has like the deed to the village and is like selling it to people and like bulldozing people's like crops. Real rude. So Miyagi makes him a deal basically that's like, okay, if we do this fight to the death or whatever, whoever wins, you promise that like the deed goes to the villagers.
Sato keeps harassing him about it.
About the fight.
let's fight. And Miyagi refuses to do so. And at one point, Sato starts bulldozing all the crops of the village to convince Miyagi to
But I thought
fight.
he was doing that to like sell because he's going to sell the land off. So like they have to start raising the land basically.
I thought it was also an incentive to get Miyagi to do it because he knew Miyagi wouldn't sacrifice this village, just for this. Like he would do it. At the same time, we have Chozen, karate asshole number 2. I mean, poor Danielson can't get away from these karate assholes no matter where he travels, right? So this another karate asshole. Yeah. Everywhere he turns, this Chozen guy is like in his face, trying to kick his ass.
He always accidentally like dishonors people, I guess. Like
I know
made a move on Johnny's girl, and like maybe this Chozen seemed to really like Kumiko, or there's some connection there.
And they
that
always
only
have all these little buddies,
in, like,
and they're always just kicking his ass.
Right. So so there's a lot of tussles. There's a lot of like Daniel getting his ass kicked, and then Mr. Miyagi being like, "Hey, like I'll like stop that," and then he beats them up, and then they leave, and you're like, "Hey, Mr. Miyagi." So it's mostly like that for most of the movie until there's a very romantic tea ceremony that Kumiko does with Daniel, and then they kiss, and it's like this sweet moment, and you're like, "Wow, things are really getting serious." They've done the tea ceremony. What's next? And wouldn't you know it, a typhoon or a very intense tropical storm just hits without any warning, except you hear a bell. So like, I don't know of any storms that do this. Usually there's like some dark clouds approaching. I've never seen a storm just like 2 rings of the bell. You're in the eye of the storm already. Like I just don't think that's how storms work.
But there, I don't know if you looked up where Okinawa was, but it is like these tiny little islands that stretch out like on the very bottom of Japan. Like you almost like can't see them. They're so tiny.
I do remember from the next Karate Kid, the sand garden, the rock garden. Mr. Miyagi explains.
He showed her. Okay,
where
so they're
Okinawa
like
is in comparison
in the
to
middle of nowhere, and when you're in like on an island, storms just like sweep on through.
Yeah, but
really quickly.
The sky wouldn't get like dark. I'm just saying, like the warning bell should come when the sky is getting a little dark and you're getting nervous, not when it's immediately already bad as it's going to get. So like, maybe that's true, but I don't know.
This is 1986, so it's like, did they have weather stuff? I'm sure
you
they
don't
didn't
need
have
weather stuff. You're looking at all you see there is the sky. Like you don't need to see your weather app to know that like the sky is darkening. Like it just seemed like it came out of nowhere. So, but there's this little girl ringing the bell again. Like I don't know who decided that this little girl was the person who rings the bell for the storm, but she's that's her job.
Maybe it's tradition. Maybe it's like Saint Lucia, the youngest person in the village,
Saint
rings the bell.
Lucia's the oldest person in the village, or the oldest girl in the family.
Reverse Saint Lucia, okay.
So anyways, a lot of people need saving in this scene, and it was pretty stressful because I was like, wait, who's the big one that they're like all going to... At first I was like, is it that little boy? And I was like, no. Is it Sato, who might be dead in this building? No.
The old lady with the baby killed me,
and
then she
tower.
fell.
But Miyagi saves Sato's life. He karate chops the like plank that was in there, the meditation room.
So go back to that scene. So the nephew is with him in this house, and it like falls down from the storm, and Danielson's like, Sato's in there. So they go run over there, and the nephew like stumbles out, and they're like, where's Sato? And he's like, he's dead. So then they like look over, and like Sato's like flayed out, and yes, there's like a beam across him, but he's clearly not dead.
But let's check. He's not Chozen.
Yeah. So he didn't even check. So it's supposed to be a knock on that guy's character, that he was just like so freaked out, selfish, wanted to save his own life, that he just, even though his uncle has given him like so much, he still was like, peace out, uncle.
Yeah.
And like went into the shelter.
And then Sato's like a fucking maniac and is like, oh, you're trying to kill me now, huh? When I'm at my lowest? And it's like, oh my God, motherfucker. Like he's trying to help you.
Cuckoo.
What a nut. I was like, are you serious right now? But Mr. Miyagi saves them. They bring him inside. And then they see the bell ringing girl is stuck in the tower. So Danielson goes out to save her. Chozen, Sato's like, go help her, like help Daniel. And Chozen's like, no, I'm too scared or whatever. Like he says he's an idiot.
I can't do it. Yeah.
I'm dishonored myself. Everyone's like, oh, it's fucking honor. Like I just need people. I know, cultural whatever. Like, but please, I think there can be exceptions. I'll just say it. Daniel goes to save her, gets her down, pretty traumatic. There's like some lightning and a belt involved somehow, and then gets her off the tower, and she like falls. They fall in the sand or something. So Sato runs out and picks her up, and then tells Chozen that he's dead to him now. So, oof. Bad break, Chozen, but
yeah, you thought I was dead. Well, I'm dead to you now.
Now I am dead to you
again. You don't have any courage, and
like you suck. So
honor.
Chozen's like, oh, and like flees into the storm, like, I'm never coming back. But he does. So now everything's okay with Sato, and like, haha, wasn't that funny when I wanted to kill you for 40 years, and then you saved my life, and like, I don't know, interesting.
And I love how Mr. Miyagi was like, no need for forgiveness, man. Like,
Jesus,
it's cool.
Come on, yeah, he's just so
After
noble.
all that,
I know. But they're gonna have a big big dance that I was saying is like the drum technique and these like old castle ruin things.
The bone dance, I think it's called.
The what?
The bone dance, I think.
Oh, it wasn't the oba, or like the whatever I was saying that dance is. She said that reminded her of the drum technique. I thought they called
it the bone dance or something.
I think it's like OBA, like O-BA or something.
I heard bone.
I don't know.
But
well,
cool.
as you know, I have the subtitles on, so I'm just reading what they say.
You are more informed.
So Kumiko has this like beautiful solo dance with this like fan, very beautiful. And then like in the background, you see like this small figure glide zip lining.
What is that? Zip line.
Down the lantern line, and you just see it off in the distance, like little fuzzy, and you're like, did somebody get the shot by accident? Like, what is this? You totally think it's like an error, and then Danielson sees it too, and you're like, oh shit, like Danielson sees it, and he's like, look out behind you, and then Chozen's like, and the lanterns are like I don't know, zapping electricity.
What
it
a
was
way to make it
crazy.
entrance.
I've
It was
never
crazy.
seen anything like that in my life. I was just like shocked at the audacity, at the balls on Chozen to be like, I've dishonored myself. I'm gonna now ruin this lovely dance of this woman and attack
the
her
whole
with a
village is
knife.
at. Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, he holds Kamiko like hostage with the knife, and then he's like, I want to fight Daniel, and Daniel's like, okay, fine, let's do this. And so takes the bridge out and is like, yeah, let's fight. So they have a fight, and they bloody each other up pretty badly. Again, deja vu to the first movie. Daniel's like feeling pretty much at his lantern rope, if you will, at the
It's
end
not
of
going
his
well for him. I'd say
lantern rope.
it's not going great for him.
They're very tired, and then Mr. Miyagi starts drumming with those little like hand drums. Then everybody does it, and Daniel's like in his head, like, yeah, drum technique. He's like, okay, yeah, meditate, drum technique. Yep, And Chozen's getting a little like, just like, what's happening? Why is everybody drumming? Can everyone shut up? I'm trying to concentrate. And then Daniel does whatever the counter attack to the drum move is with like the punching, and just keeps like railing on him. And Danielson wins the fight. So all is good. Kind of ends there again, right? Like,
Yes,
Mr.
I was
Miyagi
so
being
I
like,
didn't remember this,
"Yay."
but yep, it was just like Mr. Miyagi nodding and been like, yeah,
You did it
that
again.
was and then it's just black screen, the end. So yeah, you don't know like what happens at all. I mean, clearly there's a love interest, but what are they going to have? A long distance relationship? Doubtful. So yeah, I just love these abrupt endings.
And come to America? Wasn't she like, will America? Because isn't that what Yuki wanted? Like,
well, she is like a dancer, so she wants to study dance. And she said there's no schools she really wants to study ballet, I think, and there's no schools for it, she said, in Japan. So
gotta come to
that's why she
America.
wants to come to the US. Yeah. But yeah, like I love those. I think that ending is cool. Again, I'm just like a big fan of that. And then I don't know if the third one, I got to watch it. We'll watch it eventually, maybe. Robin Lively's in that one as the girlfriend.
I was trying to remember who that was.
And like I do really want to see that one because it's the one I definitely have seen the least, and it has Terry Silver in it, who's the big bad character villain of Cobra Kai right now. So I do want to eventually watch that one. But yeah, so solid sequel, I'd say. Love that they took it into a whole different place. As we always talk about sequels, like people want to see the same kind of stuff that was in the first one that they loved about the first one. So this really did hit a lot of those same notes. You have like another karate asshole. You have like a big fight at the end. You have a love interest. You have Mr. Miyagi kicking ass, but they changed the location. And I thought like the Japanese cultural side of it, while super interesting to me as an adult, I think like maybe wouldn't be as interesting to kids and stuff, would be like my only
it was
thing
basically
with that.
it was the same movie except boring. Like I think that like if you're gonna, yes, people are wanting things from the original, but you have to make it better. It has to be like a little amped, a little more juiced up, basically. And this was like the reverse.
It was a very quiet
because-
sequel.
Because in the first one, there was just like so much action always with like Johnny and like the karate tournament, and like you were working towards something. Where in this one, like you don't really know what you're working towards. It's like vaguely maybe this fight to the death, which never actually happens. So like once that's kind of kaput, you're like, where's the conflict? And then that's when Chozen comes, ziplining in. But it was just kind of boring. Like I just again, I was like, Daniel, I was like, can we just leave? Like I'm bored. Like I know you're having a good
call
time.
it boring. I'd call it quiet. Like it's a quiet sequel. It's more about like Mr. Miyagi. It's about his previous life. You're learning his backstory. Like I thought the stuff with his dad was really sweet, and how Daniel could like give him a pep talk from his own experience, like losing his dad. Just like sweet, but definitely, way less exciting than the first. You do, and I think which is why they really went back to that exact formula and for the third one. And agree. But this one made way more money than the first one, obviously, from everyone
they got all the fans.
about the first Karate Kid. Exactly. So coming out for this one. And they did a free nationwide screening on July 4th, 1986 for this movie. How cool. I wish they still did that.
I was
How
a bun
fun
in
would
the
that be?
oven. Maybe we should ask Carol if she
I
wanted to
know.
see the Karate Kid Part 2 or not. Or like
That would have been amazing if she was like, "Oh yeah, I was so hot and pregnant, I needed air conditioning, so I went to the movies and I saw Karate Kid Part 2."
I wish. Yeah, what else? I don't know.
The big song from this, which was then nominated for an Oscar, was Peter Cetera's "Glory of Love." Played over the credits, and then it played a couple times during the movie. Very 80s jam. We'll put it on our Large Tennis playlist. Apparently was supposed to be used in Rocky 4 and decided not
Again,
to
with
use
the
it.
Rocky.
So
What is this?
yeah, so he's like, let's use this for a different movie. So that's cool. I felt that, memorable scene. So I remembered the beginning scene, obviously, with like the tail, the Johnny getting like choked and the bloody hands for sure. Like you said, very memorable. I remember the, ice breaking scene. So that one is, they wander into this bar that has these I think are like American GIs doing like making bets on breaking breaking boards, but they're ice boards, frozen solid like ice stacked into boards, and you have to cut through them with your hand, and people are betting money on it. So Daniel's like, those guys are doing it wrong, like you got to use your hip, and it's not about like how strong you are, it's like how mentally basically you need to do it. So then freaking asshole karate dude Chozen like rolls in. He's like, okay, like I bet you like you can't do it, like blah blah blah, and he like throws all this money out. So then Kamiko gets Miyagi, and Miyagi comes up with $600 to put on Daniel breaking all 6 ice boards. Okay, where did he get that money? Isn't $600 like a good chunk of change in 1986?
I mean, did he have it at that moment? I thought, isn't like with betting, like you're just like, I don't know. And then you collect.
He had a big wad of cash.
Well, he had to get money. I mean, I'm sure they don't have ATMs in Tommy Village.
Just traveling
so
with
he
all that money or something?
Did take out all that money. I don't know. I mean, he has 20 cars, so I'm sure he's a millionaire.
So he puts that money down, and Daniel freaking does it. They do like these breathing techniques together. So they're like to like center yourself, and then they're like ha. And he does it, and he breaks all 6 ones, so he like wins all this money. And Miyagi did that because Daniel had used all of his college fund to go on this trip, so he like wanted him to get that money back, which he did. Later, Chozen finds them at like the doo-wop bar and like beats him up and takes the money, and you're like, oh shit, sport. Like that's his college fund. I know, it's just like every other scene is Chozen coming in here and be like, you this ought to be like, I'm
like,
gonna kick your ass with this,
we
like,
did the
goony
bet.
little friends.
I won I did it.
Yeah,
I like everybody saw it. There weren't any shenanigans here.
I was watching it with Sweetie Jimmy, and he's like, hey, like he won that fair and square.
Oh, Jimmy.
I know. I was like, I know.
You're too noble.
What an asshole.
Yeah, Chozen sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks.
Oh my God, it's the worst. But like, it was hard for me to watch this, seeing the new series and being like, oh, I really like this character now. But good to see that he's finally grown up like so many years later. What else I was going to say? Oh, I've also feel like I've semi come to this conclusion that Danielson is not that good at karate.
No, he just does he gets in a pickle. He usually is losing, and then they do the one signature move that saves him, and then kicks somebody in the face, and then default he wins. It's always kind of seems like a scam.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, it is kind of scam karate in that Miyagi just teaches him all these little they're not trick moves, but
he never wants him to use
know,
it. So it's how so I don't know.
But I just seeing him fight today, I was like, like I'm not sure if you're that good, because they have, especially now watching Cobra Kai, and those kids are like really doing like crazy shit. And so other memorable scenes, I definitely remember the end where he comes like zip lining in, like that was hilarious. And then also when he slaps Kumiko or punches Kumiko, I was very like thrown off by that. Anything where women got hit, just always very like jarring. And I remember like watching that as a little girl and being like, oh God.
Yeah.
Like, crazy. Totally. But yeah, interesting sequel. Definitely not my favorite of the three, but does hold like a place in my heart for watching it a couple times and still being like, oh God, I love this series. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. It doesn't feel like super 80s either. Like I don't think this one is like as dated as the other one.
Not in Japan. I don't know. Japan, it's just like a little, small village. Like it's not going to be like cult, like pop, like current pop focused.
Right. But also, I feel like that village is like in the 1950s because they have all these classic cars, like the doo-wop bar. Like they really don't have anything like super super modern there. So it's kind of dated and like in its own place. But yeah, gotta love me some Karate Kid.
Totally. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Okay. I'm going to watch an episode of Cobra Kai now.
Oh, cute. Yeah, keep me posted on Chozen's development.
Journey.
But yeah, come find us on Twitter at the Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. I almost said .com, but I was like, on Large Marge Sent Us, at Large Marge Sent Us. Come talk to us about the Karate Kid too. Talk to us about anything you want. And yeah, thanks as always for listening. Bye.
Bye.